Hi guys, it is me, Jennifer Eichelberger, the book illustrator. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to make a graphic novel. And I'm going to tell you right off the bat, don't do it the way that I did it. There's so much more effective ways of doing it. So with that being said, let's get into it. Okay, so I had the first inkling of this idea that I had for my graphic novel came years ago, right after my honeymoon, and that was a long time ago. And honestly, the idea for this graphic novel was, wouldn't it be funny if there was a kid who was from a magical family, but he was embarrassed of his family, so he decided to disguise his magic powers and become a superhero. So that was the seed of this idea. And I thought, maybe I'll do a one-off kind of funny comic strip, 30 pages long, something like that. You know, just like a joke thing. Honestly, that's what I should have done. I should have gone with that, but I didn't. Instead, I started building this world and started creating more characters, and I was like, okay, well, if there was this world where there were magic people and there were also superheroes, what would the superheroes be like? And what would the villains be like? And so I was like, oh, and if I had a character that was from a magic family, I would need a counterpart character who is a superhero. And so I came up with Nick and Zuzu so that I could have the two different worlds come together. And I kept building this world. And to be perfectly honest, I was intimidated by the thoughts of doing a 32 comic book. Like, honestly, I was like, ugh, that seems like a lot of work to do that much art. And anyway, but I did some sketches here and there, but mostly I was kind of like world building this whole time. And the time that I got a breakthrough, I'll tell you this. I had two major breakthroughs where I was like, oh, I love this story. It's got to be longer than just a quick, funny comic book. So the first breakthrough that I had is, okay, if I had my magical superhero who's embarrassed of his magic family, what would the main villain be like? What would he be? And I kept thinking about different supervillains, like Batman villains, Superman villains, like those kinds of things, and trying to come up with who it would be. And when I realized, oh no, the villain has to be another magical person, it blew my mind. I was like, oh, this is a good story. Well, it's gotta be. It can't be a 32-page comic. I'm going to write it as a novel. And so that's what I did. I started writing it as a novel. And then a few years down the road, we move, and in the new neighborhood where we were, we met some friends, and turns out both of them are writers. And James, the husband, he's like, well, you know what? I teach a free writing class once a week. You should come. And so I did. And one of the first things he said about my story was, okay, well, you got this kid who's embarrassed of his family, but he can do magic. That doesn't seem like a strong enough motivation to not want to do magic. There needs to be something more than that. And he was like, what if magic is illegal? And again, it was a moment of mind blown, like, yes, that's what it is. Magic is illegal. So it makes sense that he is embarrassed of this magic power, wanting to fit with society or whatever. So those were probably two of the biggest moments in coming up with my story, where I felt this massive shift. And so I would work on it as a novel. There were times when I was so dedicated and I would write every day, and I had my goal of writing 500 words or 1,000 words, whatever it was for the day. And I would do that, and I would be so productive for like a month. And then I wouldn't be. And it was, if I wasn't being lazy, it was something like having to do freelance or taking care of a brand new baby, whatever it was. But I wasn't working on it very fast. You know, it was just kind of this slow process of working on it from time to time. There was another breakthrough. And this was the moment when I realized, oh, this can't be just a novel. I really got to go back to my original idea and make this a graphic novel, not just a comic book, a one-off comic book, but a graphic novel. And honestly, when I thought that idea, it was like clear as day. It was like a bolt of lightning that was like, Jen, play to your strengths. You're an illustrator. Play to your strengths. Make this a graphic novel. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. Sheesh, I don't know how to do that, but I'll do it. And making it a graphic novel was so hard. And again, I felt so intimidated to do it. Because I was like, well, I'm not even sure, like, how many words should be on a single page? How much information can be on a single page? How long should this book be? And so I started dissecting graphic novels. Like, I would open up a graphic novel, and if the pages weren't numbered, I would count the pages to see how many pages were in that graphic novel. And then I would count how many words were on each page. I wouldn't count the entire book, but I would pick several different pages, some with few words, some with lots of words, and I would count the words on those pages and kind of average out how many words there were per page to figure out how to do this. And the other thing is, there were some graphic novels that I looked at the art and I was like, oh, that art is so amazing. It's so good. And I I want to tell you what the one graphic novel that I'm really thinking of, but I can't wholeheartedly recommend you reading it. So I'm not going to say what it was. If you want to know privately, I'll tell you what it is. But this certain graphic novel series had amazing art. I absolutely loved it, and I thought, oh, that would be cool for my graphic novel. But if I did it that way, I realized it would take me so long to do the art, just because it was more at a higher level, like more rendering, and I'd probably need to use photo references for my characters to make sure that everything looked good. Anyway, so I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to do it. And so I kept messing with style. I kept messing with the look of my characters, like how I want my characters to look. And I finally came to the conclusion that I needed to do a style that was easy. Like, just kind of, and the other thing is that I didn't realize back when I was kind of drooling over this other style, that my story, I knew all along that my story was intended for middle grade. And honestly, that other style that I was looking at was definitely for an older audience, I would say, like more YA, which is young adult. And so I think I made the right choice when I finally came to the decision of which style I was going for, which is the simple style. But like I said at the beginning, I was telling you to not do a graphic novel my way, and I stand by that saying. Don't do it the way that I did it. Jake Parker from 3 Point Perspective, who does graphic novels, he does amazing. He says, start with a simple story. Start with a 5-page comic book. And honestly, that's what I should have done, is just kind of, get my foot wet that way. And to tell you the truth, I kind of did. And I'll show you what I mean. A few years back when I was first starting to work on this and I um, bought the software that I wanted for my graphic novel, I did do a 3-page comic using this software just so I could see how the software would work. And so I did kind of do that. But he's like, don't try and do your epic comic book for the first thing that you do. And yet here I am. And that's one reason why it's taken me so long, is because this is an epic story. And honestly, this graphic novel that I'm working on, this is the first in a series, so it's taking so long. But I'm wanting to share with you some of this stuff because I love working on it and I love doing this process. And conventional wisdom from traditional publishing is like, oh, don't show anything you're working on. You got to wait until it's release time and then you start showing some of your art or whatever. And I'm just going against that conventional wisdom. I'm also going against Jake Parker's suggestion of not having your epic comic book be the first thing that you do. So here I am going against what everyone has said. Oh, they've also said keep your personal opinions and thoughts about God to yourself too. And obviously I'm going against that as well. So I'm going against all conventional wisdom. And I'm just going to share this with you, share everything as I go along. And we'll see how this goes. Like, it might turn out that I have dedicated years of my life to doing this comic book, and then it turns out that nobody really likes it and nobody really wants it, and then I just have to apologize sincerely to my husband. I am so sorry that I spent years on this and it turns out nobody actually wants my graphic novel. I am so sorry. I will get a job as a housemaid. That's what I'll do. Okay, but for now I'm working on this. I want to give it the best shot it has and seeing where it takes me. And we'll see how it goes. So going back to what I was saying about figuring out the style. So I came up with just a simple style, and I tell you what, I do cheat when I'm doing my graphic novel. I cheat when I do it. And I think maybe I'll have a whole video in and of itself of what I mean by cheating. It's cheating, but really it's not. But I'll make that a whole video in and of itself, is how I cheat when I'm making my graphic novel. And you can cheat too, it's okay. Back to the point of doing this the wrong way, doing an epic story, my first graphic novel. On the one hand, because I'm doing an epic story, I keep going and keep going and keep going. And I haven't turned back yet. So that's something, right? I'm still doing it. I'm still working on it. I'm bringing you along for this ride. Like I said, I feel like I need to do these YouTube videos because I'm not good at social media. I kind of hate doing it, but I need to do it because that's how you get your art out there. It's how I no longer hide my candle under a bushel, but on a candlestick for all the world to see. All right, guys. Thank you for coming along with this video. It was a little bit rambly, but I think I got my point across. I think you got the point of this video. And if you did, you're better than I am. So good job. Anyway, we'll see you in the next video. It was have a lovely day and all that. Goodbye.